Hi, this is Rooney207. Welcome back. For today's episode, we'll talk about Splinterlands and its current bot proposal, or the consideration for the team to implement bots and anti-bot detection mechanism, in particular for the a modern league versus wild. And I think the Yamamat had proposed this, and he had proposed some of the solutions to this as recommendations for the DAO and the community to vote. And I wanted to talk about why I voted against this and some of my thoughts around this particular topic. I think everyone will have their own views on this, and I think it's good in general for all players and all SPS holders, staked SPS holders, to vote on this, and whichever comes out, comes out. It is what it is. And in particular, the solution that Matt had talked about is Cloudflare, which is a popular application security, zero trust type web-based internet anti bot traffic, invalid bot evaluator, things like that. So I wanted to talk about the various components. And first of all, the one third of all internet traffic are bots, and some bots are better than others, such as Google. For instance, there's use cases for Google-related bots, and essentially, these are all cloud access data brokers, web filtering applications, and some of Cloudflare's competitors include companies like Zscaler from California, Netscope, Perimeter 81. So these are some of the ones. And to kind of preface this, I am in the cybersecurity information security profession. I'm in more the GRC area, which is the governance, risk, compliance, or controls, and I look at I I don't implement and I don't run the tools. I'm more looking at the configurations, the settings, looking at the data, the reports, do the comparisons and those likes, and to ensure that the companies implement effective monitoring, preventive, and detective controls and measures around these types of tools. Companies in general spend a lot of money on tools. Tools is the number one thing that all information security, the cybersecurity space, it's a way to sell, and it's an easy win for a lot of the CISOs and a lot of the CIOs or CTOs within companies. So the board allows them, and it's an easy metrics. But I think one of the things that we forget is that we kind of turn it on, we check it, but there's actually we need humans to be able to evaluate whether the things that we're trying to achieve, the objective, the results meet those objectives. And I think sometimes we forget, we just want to use machines, and it works for the most part. So essentially, Cloudflare is no different than any of its competitors, in my opinion, from what I've seen and used the various competitors. And they block bots, they prevent invalid bot traffic, and they look at what are potentially bad bots. And many of them implement these what's called super bot fight mode, and they go through and they have their algorithm. And one of the things that we'll need to consider is that since the DAO will be paying, should the DAO have a vote on a particular tool, maybe our vote, and in this particular vote, we also imply that we trust Yabamat, PJ, and Hardpoint to help us navigate the tool and the selection. So it's something that I think it's kind of understood. And then one of the things that a lot of these tools talk about is they stop bots without latencies, without heavy use of captchas and things like that. And we'll touch base, but essentially that's kind of the themes. And most of these tools go through four steps for stopping or preventing bots. They analyze the type of request, the inbound requests, or the ones that ping the traffic to the website, the Splinterlands website. And then what you want to do, the tool looks at it, they try to understand, visualize the likelihood, and determine if it's good traffic or bad traffic, aka bots. And they'll create protections to block these types of bots, and most of them are relatively flexible firewall rules and scores. They have a number of scores and it ranges, and they'll either perform a couple things as a result of those types of firewall rules or scores. They'll either block, allow, manage the challenge, or they have a JavaScript challenge or skip log latency capture. These are types of actions that can be. And as a result, you have the allow list of good bots. You have the white list. You have the heuristics piece of it, which is to understand the attributes from the browser and the behavior, the digital fingerprints that you're interacting with. And then you want to look at anomalies. You want to conduct site-specific learning to flag these anomalies and these attack points or just spikes, depending on the data. And you can turn on the auto, and I think Matt is just trying to turn on that small piece of the tool piece to kind of help it navigate. And then it is what it is. He's not going to block every bot, and there are going to be better bots, and so it's just something that we need to keep in mind. Will this tool help fight bots? Yes. It's not going to eliminate all the bots. Better bots with algorithms like XBot. So what you'll have is you'll eliminate the bad bots like Splintermates, which tends to lose more than they win. And then you have the average bot, which is like Archmage, and they'll probably get some through and they'll win some, and then you have the better bots like XBot, and XBot will be successful and they'll get in. So what you'll have is that you'll have an environment within modern where you'll have really strong bots. So instead of getting really like some mixture of bad average opponents and very good opponents like XBot, you'll only get the XBots of the world. So that's where you're left with the implementation of a tool like Cloudflare. You have JavaScript detections, kind of like your emails, your TLS, the transport layer security, things like that. You'll have these kind of lightweight JavaScript fingerprinting. So you'll go through these mechanisms, and then the fourth one is like a challenge list. Those are not really clear cut, and most common. You'll have to force them to use maybe some kind of capture mechanism or something like that if you're not sure. So at the end of the whole thing, if you were to vote yes, these are some of the things that you want to consider is, will the benefit outweigh the cost, the total cost of ownership? There is a cost, there's support costs. Initially, Matt may say no, but you just can't run these types of things by itself. It just doesn't exist alone. You need someone to manage, review the reports, look at it, make improvements, whitelist, review. So there's going to be a labor cost to this, however you wanted to move forward with it. And so the second one is it will not eliminate all the bots, which we know. Better bot developers like XBot will gain increased advantage, and it may shift the quality and level of competition, good or bad. Potentially, the third one is potentially expose Splinterlands network vulnerabilities. So bots have a little bit longer. They'll be forced to be more creative to test the environment, the networks, the server, and things like that. So they'll make more discoveries. The fourth is shift the bot player base from modern to wild, which we know. But is this the correct decision? It'll help. It'll help wild in terms of getting more players into it, but the ones that have modern cards and they don't want to play, and they're using, let's say, Splintermate, they'll have to consider moving to a weaker or a much stronger level of competition from a weaker deck. They only have a limit number sets, so it'll hurt them and things like that. So it's something to consider. The fifth one is the potential slight increase for latency. It'll slow, maybe it'll help with matching, it'll take a little bit longer, things like that. So it's something to consider. Potential need to hire the network or security operations center support staff that will be paid by the DAO. So this cost will only increase, it'll never decrease. The security cost, once you enter this piece and you elect to implement a cybersecurity management program, you're going to have to invest. The DAO has to pay. There has to be a budget from the DAO. It has to be allocated. I don't think Yamamat and the Splinterlands team will agree to cover the costs. And then the other piece is, are we covering the costs? Will that be shared and used? The resources will be used by, let's say, GLX or other future projects. Will it be shared from DAO to DAO, cost sharing? So we can look at some of it as well. But these are financial items that we'll have to consider. The seventh one, once engaged, this cost will only increase over time, especially with inflation. We know how inflation and labor costs goes. The DAO will be solely responsible for all costs going forward post initial setup by the Steam Monster team, by Yamamat's team. And the eighth item is, it leads to much longer term conversation around the role of the DAO and the financial responsibility and the accountability that the DAO has to the community. So it's something that I think we really need to understand and have engagement. I think this is a good proposal in terms of to talk forward, but I don't think it's a good proposal to vote on, and that's one of the reasons why I voted no. I'm not completely against the concept of segmentation and segmenting the DAO for the bots and non-bots and humans and things like that. I just think that it's not the healthiest or the best approach. That's all. And this is it for this video. Thank you so much.